When the hospital bell rang, Michael rang it once. The sound echoed down the hallway. Nurses smiled. Other patients clapped. Someone said, "Congratulations, you're done." Michael smiled too, but as he walked out of the hospital and into the sunlight, he felt something he didn't expect. Not fear, not sadness, but uncertainty, because treatment was over, yet life didn't feel finished or fixed. It felt different, and no one had explained what after would really be like. This is a story about Michael, but it's also a story for millions of men who have walked a similar path. It's about the life that begins after the bell rings, after the final treatment for prostate cancer. At home, everything looked normal. The same couch, the same kitchen, the same bed. But Michael didn't feel the same inside his body or his mind. He was tired in a deep way, a bone-deep exhaustion that sleep couldn't fix. His physical strength was slowly returning, but his confidence hadn't caught up yet. Friends meant well. They'd say things like, "You're so lucky. You beat cancer. You must feel amazing." And Michael would nod, but inside, he was thinking, "I survived cancer, but I don't know how to live this new life yet." This is something many prostate cancer survivors feel, but rarely talk about. Because after treatment, the world expects a celebration. But survivors often need understanding more than anything else. They're navigating a new, uncharted territory. No one had warned Michael about the quiet struggles, the ones that happen after the regular appointments stop, the ones that don't show up on scans or blood tests. He noticed small changes that grew into big worries, moments of doubt, anxious thoughts about intimacy, questions about his body, and questions about his identity as a man. He felt incredibly grateful to be alive, of course, but also confused, and sometimes profoundly alone. Michael didn't talk about it, not because he didn't want help, but because he didn't know how to ask. Many men are taught to be strong by staying silent, but that silence can be incredibly heavy. One afternoon, while waiting for a follow-up, Michael saw a flyer tacked to a bulletin board at the clinic. Prostate Cancer Survivorship Group. He almost ignored it. He told himself, "I'm done with treatment. I should move on." But a small voice inside him, a persistent whisper, said, "Just go once." So he did. He walked into a simple room. Chairs were arranged in a circle. There were men of all different ages, from different backgrounds. But as he looked around, he saw the same understanding in their eyes. No one rushed to speak. The silence in this room felt different. It wasn't heavy, it was patient. Then one man said quietly, "I survived cancer, but I didn't know survivorship would be this hard." Another man nodded and added, "They tell you how to fight cancer. They don't teach you how to live afterward." In that moment, Michael felt his shoulders relax for the first time in months. He felt a tension release that he didn't even know he was holding on to. For the first time since his treatment ended, he felt seen. In that room, Michael learned something important about strength. He realized that real strength isn't about pretending everything is fine. Real strength is having the courage to say, "I'm still healing." He learned that survivorship isn't about going back to the person you were before, because cancer changes you, and that's not always a bad thing. Survivorship is about building forward. It's about learning your body again, learning your emotions again, and learning how to ask for and accept support. Bit by bit, Michael began to talk more openly. He had honest conversations with his doctor about his lingering fatigue and his worries. He talked with his partner, sharing the fears he had kept locked inside, and he continued to attend the support group, where each conversation made the weight on his shoulders a little lighter. He learned that healing is not only physical, it's also emotional, mental, and relational. He started small. Instead of pushing himself to go on long, draining walks, he started with short ones, focusing on the feeling of the sun on his skin. Instead of letting his worries fester in silence, he chose to have honest conversations, even when they were difficult. He practiced patience with himself, instead of succumbing to the pressure to feel back to normal. Some days were good, some days were hard, but every single day he reminded himself, I am still here, and that matters. Survivorship taught him to measure his progress differently, not by speed or by comparing himself to others, or even to his old self, but by honesty and self-compassion. One of the hardest parts for Michael, and for so many men, was something that's often shrouded in silence: intimacy, identity, and confidence. Feeling like himself again in his own body. Feeling confident and close to his partner. He learned that most prostate cancer survivors struggle here. It doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It simply means that this part of healing takes time. Open communication was key. So was patience. And so was compassion, especially for himself. Michael realized that intimacy is more than just one physical act. It's about connection. It's about trust. It's about shared understanding. And those bonds, he discovered, can actually grow stronger than they were before. Months later, Michael walked back into the hospital. But this time, he wasn't there as a patient. He was a volunteer. He sat with men who were just starting their treatment, men who looked just as scared and unsure as he once felt. One man asked him quietly, "Does life ever feel normal again?" Michael paused, thinking about his journey. Then he said, "It feels different." But different doesn't mean worse. Different can mean wiser. Different can mean deeper. Different can still be full of joy. The man nodded, a flicker of hope in his eyes. And in that moment, Michael realized something profound. Survivorship had given him a new purpose. To share his story, to be a listening ear, and to remind others that life continues beautifully and meaningfully. Prostate cancer survivorship is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a new chapter. It's a chapter that includes learning your body again, asking for help without shame, caring for your mental and emotional health, staying connected to others who understand, and finding new meaning after treatment. You are not weak for struggling after cancer. You are human. And you are not alone. If you are listening to this and you are a prostate cancer survivor, please know this: your feelings are valid. Your healing journey matters. Your life still has immense value and purpose. Survivorship isn't about pretending cancer never happened. It's about choosing to live fully and authentically after it did. This story is for education and emotional support. It doesn't replace professional medical advice. Always speak with qualified healthcare providers about your personal care and any challenges you're facing. If you are struggling with your mental health, reaching out to a therapist or a support group can make a world of difference. Thank you for listening. If this story helped you or reminded you of someone, please consider sharing it. Because sometimes the first step toward healing is simply knowing you're not the only one.